Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much again for joining me here. Hope you're having a great day. I should say welcome back to myself because I've been half past dead for the last 48 hours. So obviously there's a reason why you haven't seen any analysis here recently, because I was effectively just out of commission. Pretty heavy head cold. It was not fun, but I'm about 75% recovered. So heads up on that. So we're going to take a look here at Bitcoin, a handful of other altcoins today. I'm pretty excited to take a look at this because Bitcoin is breaking slightly bullish. I want to emphasize the word slight because from a macro perspective, we're not quite out of the woods yet. We've still got this resistance range at about 97,000. That is a solid point of control here locally. So we want to just be mindful that the price could still pull back. And as we kind of looked at this previously, at least my previous playout chart kind of indicated that we had two possible scenarios. The price rejects off this descending trend line, which it didn't, or it breaks through and comes back to retest this 94K range. I'll explain why 94,000 is a fairly important level for us, but I'll also go into detail on a few other key factors here. So we'll look at all that and much more. Quick little heads up, just so you know, this is a new opportunity for Bitunix this month. Obviously, use my link to register. You're always eligible for these benefits. Be sure you do so. However, there is a nice little bonus here for a Rolex and or a MacBook Pro. So again, pretty easy to hit that 100/500 million volume. I know it sounds crazy, but we had like 3 or 4 traders last month and the month before hitting that number pretty easily. So again, we got some high volume traders in our community. So just heads up on that. Make sure you register for that. Links down below. So what I want to talk about here, first of all, is on the daily time frame. Recognize this here for the liquidation. We got a pretty heavy amount to the upside. So there's a decent chance we're going to see the price continue further up. 98,000 is a lot of liquidation there. Some folks are just heavy on the shorts. If I'm going to consider shorting Bitcoin, it wouldn't be until 100,000. But again, that's just me personally. I don't like to be an early short after the price just breaks out, right? Again, a lot of folks will short just instantly because the price comes up. But again, it makes sense too to also short 97,000. So I'm not discrediting anyone who's shorting right now, because that is somewhat of a resistance range, that 0.618 fib level, kind of an important area of resistance. So totally understandable. It's just too high of a risk for me. I don't like to try to short overextensions or take longs into overextended downsides there. It's just inherently more risky, right? Because a lot of indicators are probably pointing up right now, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to do that. Anyways, I'm spitballing here just based on best practice. I like to kind of promote that and talk about that at all times, just so people kind of understand what you should be doing. There's no exact science, and these are all things that I feel are my opinions, and my opinions are based solely on my experience over the last 20 years of trial and erroring a lot of different strategies. So the best strategy I've noticed in crypto is to be a little more conservative, a little more patient, and try not to FOMO in all the time. But again, you'll find a lot of benefit FOMOing in too. Is just that's not really a good, the right way to do things. Okay, so again, not to say it's bad that you do it. It's not what you do, it's how you do it that defines you, right? So how you're trading is probably the most important thing here. Taking a look here at the liquidation delta, we can see 3 billion in liquidation longs, basically implying that the market is more long biased than short biased. Okay. We've got more incentive for the price to go up because of that. Now, if that number stays too high for too long, it's a different story altogether. But again, this in combination with this tells me we're probably going to see 98K in the relative near future. Now, when we take a look here at the heat map, we want to kind of double check a couple of things here. This is basically open interest, letting us know where people are hedged the most. So we see the most amount of positions at 94,000. Again, that's what I mentioned earlier as a heavy support range. And then of course we got 95K and roughly 96. I'm rounding up on both of these, all these accounts here, but the simple way to understand it is they probably have the heaviest amount of longs at basically 95K, 94 second of that, and of course 96 tertiary. So we got these 3 little areas there of supports, solid, nice round numbers that are giving us indication the price is more likely to go up than down. Okay, so good stuff here in that regard. I like what I see here. So we may not actually get that retest of that 94K range. Just know that 94 or 95,000 has a decent amount of support there if the price does pull back. Daily time frame, let's work our way down. Quickly to note here, first of all, I just want to kind of throw this out there. They're pretty small, but there are some small little CME gaps here on the CME futures, and that's right there at about that 94.5 mark. So if we do get a pullback, we could have a little bit of gravity, so to speak, for the price to pull back to that level to fill that gap and continue higher. Keep in mind, these are small gaps. Again, you kind of almost have to zoom into the 15-minute chart to see them, but on the same accord, it's still there, it's still present, just something to know, okay? So all the more reason why if the price does pull back the 94,000, 94.5 range seems like a logical place to consider either A, a long, or B, to be patient and wait until that level is hit. Okay, so just kind of some things to think about. So taking a look here at the daily time frame, let's recognize this here. SMAs, we're still under all the important ones, right? So 97.5 as low as 96.5 is that range of resistance based on those two SMAs, but also the 0.618 fibs here. Okay. Now keep in mind, these fib levels are drawn out from the local low to the local high. I haven't gone from the local high to the local low because we don't know if the bottom's in just yet. And more importantly, leaving this these kind of fib levels up is very helpful because then you can kind of see more of a bigger picture. Be careful just consistently updating your fib levels every time you look at the charts. Again, it depends on what kind of trading you're doing. If you're day trading, a different story. You can use smaller fib levels, but I think macro fibs are a little more important. Again, keep in mind, folks, fib levels, Elliott wave, all that stuff. It's all speculation. It's kind of forecasting tool letting us know where the price could provide resistance or support. Okay, it's not the only thing you use to trade. Okay, so I know there's a lot of traders, unfortunately, out there that solely use this one thing, and that's just a really terrible way to trade. Again, it's very just unilateral. That's all. It's not that it's bad. It does help. It's just that you got to use other factors too, right? And that's what we're going to look at. So we're right here at 50 on the RSI. Another reinforcement of resistance, okay? Now, again, this doesn't mean the price is going to just turn around right here, but we don't break through this sometime today. We don't, close above 96, 96.5, then there may be potential for a bit of a retracement, okay? We can see stochastic swing up for the second time. That does carry more weight than the first, so this does give us more indication that we're more likely to go up. Money flow index is increasing. MACD's trying to converge. There's a lot of positivity here, so I'm not really trying to, crap on Bitcoin, for lack of better terms. I can say though that this is we're almost there, but we're not quite there, right? So again, it's just a little premature, and again, this is more like a breakout trade scenario where a lot of folks are taking longs right now, and they may get swept. Just depends on the situation, but I totally get it based on liquidation and everything here. Majority of things are pointing up for the moment, so that's very good, very positive. Just know that Bitcoin's pretty good about faking people out, but we do have some good momentum. So let's talk about that. We're over the 50 and the 20-day SMA on the 4-hour time frame. That's generally a very, very good sign. That's what I like to look for a long. So if I'm going to consider a long here, I'm going to look for a bullish back test. And what that is basically is just taking this local high and retesting it. So if you can kind of see this on the chart, we saw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 attempts to break through this little area of 95,400, and it hasn't been retested yet as a back test. And the reason why that happens is because those who are in profit, which are typically market makers, not people like you and I, they're going to sell until we hit this level because that's where they got in, okay? Or at least their average position is somewhere below here. So that's why we always, well, I wouldn't say always, but it's a statistical probability the price action will retest that level that was consistently retested previous, right? So I'm speculating we're going to see like 95.5 as a potential reality here, and the price would pivot from there. So that would just be a logical place to consider a long. Okay. Now I don't necessarily take longs just based on that one speculation. I want other things to be contributing, but for the most part, we are looking fairly bullish, right, on the 4-hour time frame. We're over 50 in the RSI. Stochastic swinging up, or actually it is swinging down here for the second time. That could cause potential retracement. And then of course we got the money flow index well above the RSI. Those are all favorable signs, all things you want to trade into or trade with, not against. Okay, so again, shorting right now just doesn't make a ton of sense. You don't have a lot of meat on the bone here, so to speak. Best case scenario, we see 94.5 as a pullback. I think right now, based on what we're seeing here so far, we may not even see this retracement to 95.4. But that would be a perfect place to get in if the price does pull back. Okay. So if you're watching this now and the price is in the 95K range, it may be worth considering a long position. And again, it's not an exact science, as you can kind of see here. This high here is higher than the previous, but based on the 4-hour candlestick closures, we saw like 40 hours worth of retests in that area, and it couldn't quite break. Now that we're above that, we can presume that will be a support. HMOGO Cloud, we can recognize this here as well, all green lights on a long position, so you do not want to consider shorting into this. I think that's just kind of foolhardy and a little bit on the crazy side if you're trying to take a long into this kind of price action. Sorry, I misspoke. You're trying to take a short into this price action. You're better off waiting for the price to pull back if it ever does and taking a long versus taking a short that's extremely high risk at this point. Now, if we do take a look at overextension, we can recognize that we hit a 9 on TDS here. We're consolidating in this range about 96,000. So my speculation here is if we get a closure at 96,000 or higher today, we're probably going to be able to see the price action continue further higher. And likely to sweep that upper range of 98K. So a good solid consideration for take profit target would be like between 98,000 and 98,500, because those are two areas that have that diminishing return, so to speak, and a lot of times the price will go to these heavy concentrations and pull back. So just some food for thought there if you're in a long right now. If you're considering a short, I would definitely wait for 98.5 or 100,000 as a closer, more realistic area of retracement, because we've seen what happens at 100,000. Price action has a lot of difficulty crossing that level. We're going to need a lot of volume to get through that this time. Okay, so if we do break 100,000, we're going to see a lot of cool stuff happen, but we're not there yet, and we don't want to speculate that that's going to happen until it does occur. But majority of things are looking positive here, minus the macro. The macro is not a phenomenal situation right now, but it's getting there, okay? But the hourly and 4-hour time frame are telling us that Bitcoin is moderately back on track and that you're going to be finding a lot more benefit going up than down with majority of coins here today, okay? I'll go ahead and jump into some other altcoins here shortly. I want to say thank you again to everyone who's jumping on board with our Discord community, or more so just our premium group. We do have some nice profits from recent, of course, Chainlink short, Pepe long, some good little solid profits there. But again, I took the last couple of days off, so I'm going to calibrate, I'm going to reset, and I'm just going to jump into taking a trade right now at this exact moment, because I don't want to FOMO in, right? I want to make sure we wait for that good time to get in. Either way, thanks again for the awesome feedback. A quick little heads up, I have a signals guide here for a reason. Make sure that you read through that. And if you're part of my Discord and you're not familiar with, you can't see everything here, you have to go to browse channels and show all channels, or you come in here and you enable all channels. Okay. Unfortunately, just by default, Discord doesn't do that. So heads up on that. Anyways, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Don't be a stranger. We'll look forward to seeing you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.